My life? Dude, it's like a perfectly optimized algorithm, no kidding. Every single step, every variable, totally under control. Alex, that's me. 32, software engineer, living solo in this super sleek apartment out in the New York suburbs. Think minimalist, smart home tech, everything exactly where it should be. My days are pretty much a loop. Wake up, hit the gym, code for 8 hours straight, maybe catch a docuseries, then crash. Simple, predictable, just how I like it. I mean, look, I'm a science guy, always have been. Logic, facts, things you can prove, that's my jam. Anything that smelled remotely unexplainable? Nah, I'd dissect it, find the root cause, and boom, problem solved. It's how I dealt with stuff, you know? Like when I was a kid, I used to get these totally messed up episodes. I'd wake up, couldn't move a muscle, chest felt like an elephant was doing a jig on it, and there was always this huge dark shape standing at the end of my bed, just there, staring. It was pure nightmare fuel back then. My parents, bless their hearts, freaked out. Doctors, shrinks, the whole 9 yards. Finally, one smart dude explained it. Sleep paralysis. Brain's half awake, half asleep, gets confused, messes with your body, conjures up hallucinations. Totally normal, physiological. Case closed. And man, that explanation, it was my shield. Every single time that creepy feeling tried to crawl back, every time that shadow thing flickered in my memory, I'd just pull out the science card. It's just your brain, Alex. Nothing real, just faulty wiring. It worked, really worked. For years, I told myself I'd fixed that bug in my system, patched over that defect. I mean, I'd practically forgotten about it. My sleep cycle became another perfectly charted data point in my life's grand spreadsheet. But lately, the cells in that sheet have been getting a bit wonky. It started subtly, just a bit harder to drift off, like my brain was buzzing even after I'd mentally shut down all my tabs. Then I'd wake up in the middle of the night, not from a nightmare or any specific sound, just awake. And for a few seconds, the air in my bedroom would feel thick, heavy, like I was breathing through a wet blanket. My heart would thump a little faster, a tiny drum solo against my ribs. I'd lie there, eyes wide open in the dark, straining to hear anything. Nothing. Just the hum of the AC, the distant city drone. Must be the espresso shot I had after lunch, I'd tell myself, rolling over. Or maybe this new mattress isn't as ergonomic as they claimed. I downloaded 3 different sleep tracking apps. They all showed pretty much the same thing. Restless sleep, a few micro-awakenings. See, I mumbled to myself, scrolling through the graphs on my phone. Data. It's just bad sleep hygiene. I ordered a brand new, top-of-the-line memory foam mattress, the kind that supposedly molds to your every curve and guarantees dreamless slumber. I even tried those guided meditation tracks, the ones with the ocean sounds. They just made me think about shark attacks, to be honest. But hey, it was a scientific approach to a scientific problem. One morning, after a particularly fragmented night, I woke up feeling groggy. As I stretched, I noticed a faint, thin red line on my forearm, like a scratch. Not deep, just barely breaking the skin. I frowned at it, turning my arm over. No idea how it got there. My fingernails were trimmed. My cat, Mr. Whiskers, was back at my sister's place. Probably scratched myself in my sleep, I muttered, flexing my arm. Yeah, probably just rolled over on something. Damn it, that's annoying. I dismissed it, a tiny blip on the radar, and went about my day, my meticulously planned day. Later that afternoon, I was deep in code, lines of logic flowing across my screens. My focus was absolute, the kind where the world outside just fades away. Then it happened, a flicker, in the very corner of my vision, just as I was about to hit enter on a complex query. A shadow, a fast, formless blur that zipped past the edge of my monitor. I froze, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. My head snapped around. Nothing. Just the pristine white wall, the sunlight streaming in through the window, highlighting dust motes dancing in the air. My heart gave a little skip. "What the hell?" I whispered. I blinked hard, rubbing my eyes. My eyes are playing tricks on me. Damn it, too much screen time. Time for a break, Alex, you nerd. I forced a laugh, a dry, humorless sound, and shook my head. Just tired eyes. Gotta be. But the feeling, it lingered. That creepy feeling, you know? Like someone's got their eyes on you, even when you're totally alone. It wasn't constant, not yet, but it would surface. A subtle prickle on the back of my neck when I was making coffee, a sudden drop in temperature when I walked past the darkened hallway at night. I'd glance over my shoulder, find nothing, and immediately mentally label it paranoia, lack of sleep, probably from watching too many cheesy horror movies last week. My logical brain was working overtime, erecting mental barricades against anything inconvenient. Then, last night. It was late. I'd finally managed to fall into a heavy sleep, or so I thought. I woke up with a gasp. My eyes shot open, piercing the dark. And for a split second, it was there, that pressure, light but undeniable, right on my chest. It wasn't the crushing weight of before, not like the elephant, more like someone had just gently laid a hand on me, a cold hand. Just for a moment, my lungs locked up, a raw, primal panic seizing my throat. My vision blurred around the edges. But then, as quickly as it came, it was gone. The pressure lifted, my breath hitched, a ragged sound in the quiet room. I lay there, utterly still, heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. My whole body felt clammy, a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. My mind raced, grabbing for any logical anchor. That stupid sleep paralysis thing again. I practically spat the words out in my head, trying to make them sound dismissive, to beat back the rising fear. My brain is such trash, seriously. It just recycles old garbage. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to force it away. I grabbed my phone, fingers fumbling in the dark, and shot a text to Mark, my buddy from college. Me. Yo, dude, you ever get, really messed up sleep? Like, feeling like someone's pressing on your chest, just for a second? Mark, instantly. WTF, Alex? You good? Sounds like bad pizza. Or a ghost, LOL. Me. Nah, I'm not into the spooky stuff. You know me. Just, my body's kinda off. Need some legit sleep meds, something strong. Any recs? My brain is being a total jerk lately. Just needs to adjust. I waited for his reply, staring at the glowing screen. The words, "my brain is being a total jerk," mocking me in the silence. Adjust. Yeah, that's all it was. Just adjustment, nothing more. But even as I typed it, a shiver, cold and thin, snaked down my spine. And for the first time in a long time, the perfectly optimized algorithm of my life felt like it was starting to glitch. Big time. Man, my life, it's officially not an optimized algorithm anymore. It's like a buggy mess, a spaghetti code nightmare that even I can't untangle. My brain, the one I used to brag about, feels like a bunch of scrambled data. Seriously. No logic, no order, just noise. All because sleep decided to ghost me. Every single day was just one long, blurry slog. I was snapping at my smart home system for not responding fast enough, almost cursed out my coffee machine for a slow brew. My patience was gone, just evaporated into thin air. That initial restlessness, the slight pressure, dude, that was just the warm-up act. It hit me harder, way harder than any espresso shot ever could. Now, every single night, it's the same messed up drill. I'd drift off, thinking, finally, peace. But then, bam! My eyes would snap open, instantly alert, even though my body was frozen, stuck. My chest, it wasn't just an elephant doing a jig anymore. It felt like a whole damn sumo wrestler decided my rib cage was a trampoline. Every breath was a fight, a desperate gasp that barely pulled any air into my burning lungs. My throat felt tight, so tight. And then, there it was. at the foot of my new, super expensive, supposedly dream-inducing memory foam mattress. The shadow. It wasn't just a vague blur anymore. It was sharper, taller, a dark, lean outline against the almost darkness of my room. Blacker than black. And the feeling? It was like it was leaning over me. Not just standing, leaning. Like it was trying to get a closer look. I couldn't make out eyes or a face, nothing distinct, but I just knew it was there, watching. It was pure, raw hell. My heart didn't just thump, it slammed, a jackhammer against my ribs, desperate to break free. My skin crawled, every single hair on my body standing on end. I wanted to scream, to push it away, to just move something, but I couldn't even twitch a pinky. My entire body felt like it was screaming internally, a silent, desperate panic that just built and built. When I finally broke free from that grip, it was always with a choked gasp, my body drenched in a cold, sticky sweat. My sheets would be twisted, tangled around me like I'd been wrestling a ghost. And the scratches? They weren't just faint lines anymore. Deep, angry red marks on my forearms, sometimes even on my ankles. Like someone with long, sharp nails had just clawed me. One morning, I woke up with a bruise, dark purple, right on my wrist, circular, like someone had grabbed me, held me down. What the actual fuck? I hissed, rubbing it. I seriously need to buy sleep gloves. Who the hell is doing this? I mean, I knew it was me, somehow. My subconscious, my stressed-out brain, right? But the thought of it being me felt just as messed up as, well, as anything else. The feeling of my own body betraying me, turning against me like this, was a whole new kind of creepy. My meticulous, ordered life, it was collapsing. I was glued to my laptop, not for coding, but for searching. Sleep paralysis, extreme symptoms, physical marks after night terrors, hallucinations when awake. I devoured research papers, forum posts, anything. I needed an answer, a scientific answer, something, anything, to put this back in its box. I'd repeat the explanations to myself like a mantra. Hypnagogic hallucinations, REM atonia, brain activity spikes, totally normal. But the words felt hollow. Each time I said them, the chill only grew colder. I'd find some obscure medical journal article about rare neurological conditions, or a Reddit thread about shared waking dreams, and I'd latch onto it. See, there's a reason. There's always a reason. My fingers would fly across the screen, searching for any obscure scientific loophole, any remote, convoluted explanation that could shove this whole mess back into the realm of logic. It was a desperate scramble. The shadows weren't just nighttime entertainment either. Now they were popping up during the day. Just for a second, a quick, dark shape in the corner of my vision as I walked past the hallway mirror. A blur that solidified for a split second. A tall, black figure standing by my bookshelf, then gone before I could even fully register it. Just gone. Poof. And the sounds. I'd be working, headphones on, and swear I'd hear it. A soft, rustling sound from the end of my bed. A tiny, almost silent exhale, like someone breathing. I'd rip off my headphones, heart pounding, straining to hear. Nothing. Just the hum of the AC. "Alex, you're losing it, man," I'd mutter, running a hand through my messy hair. "Your brain is playing tricks, betraying me even. Is my brain betraying me or what?" I was determined to prove it, to prove my brain was just faulty. I bought a bunch of tiny security cameras, the kind that record in super high definition, even in pitch black. I strategically placed them all over my apartment, living room, kitchen, and, yeah, the bedroom, pointing right at the foot of my bed. "Let's see you try to sneak by this, brain," I challenged the empty room. "Let's see the science." I spent the next few nights wide awake, watching the feeds on a tablet. My eyes burned, bloodshot and gritty. My head throbbed. Hour after hour, just nothing. The camera feeds showed an empty room. Just my bed, my perfectly made bed, and the silent, dark corners. No shadows, no figures, no movement, zero, nada. By 4 a.m. on the third night, I was furious. With myself, with whatever stress was messing with my head. "This is BS," I snarled, slamming the tablet down. "Just BS. I'm being played by my own damn mind." I felt a burning frustration, a raw, hot anger at my inability to control even my own thoughts. All that tech, all that data, and it showed nothing. It was like I was fighting smoke. The exhaustion was a constant companion, clinging to me like a second skin. It made me irritable, snapped at my virtual assistant, almost yelled at the coffee machine for taking too long. I tried talking to Mark again, but I kept it super surface level. "Still having crap sleep, man. Gonna try some sleep aids." He just told me to chill, hit the gym more. What did he know? He had a wife and 2 kids, probably slept like a rock. I felt this growing distance between me and everyone else. Who would even believe me? They'd just think I was cracking up, that I needed to relax. No one gets it. No one understands this feeling, this constant, buzzing unease. I even tried hitting up some shrink, a psychologist my insurance covered. Dude just nodded a lot, told me to manage my stress, do some meditation, and promptly handed me a prescription for some mild sleeping pills. "It's all in your head, Alex." His calm voice seemed to echo in my ears. "Just focus on your wellness." I tried. I really tried. I took the pills. They just made me feel groggy without actually giving me deep sleep. The meditation tracks with ocean sounds, still thinking about sharks. "Useless," I grumbled, tossing the pills in a drawer. "These doctors are useless. Just textbook stuff. They don't know a damn thing about what's actually happening." Finally, I cracked. Not to Mark, no way. I didn't want to sound like some unhinged person. But in a moment of utter, crushing fatigue, when my brain felt like it was going to just shut down from sheer tiredness, I picked up the phone and called Mrs. Miller, my old neighbor from way back when I was a kid. She was sweet, a bit nosy, but always meant well. I hadn't talked to her in ages, but her number was still in my contacts. Just seeing her name felt familiar, I guess, like a small, tiny anchor in a storm. "Hello, dear." Her voice was a little shaky, but warm. "Hey, Mrs. Miller, it's Alex," I mumbled, my voice rough from lack of sleep. "Yeah, Alex, from, the old house on Elm Street." "Oh, Alex, my goodness, it's been ages. How are you, sweetie?" I sighed, a long, drawn-out sound. "Honestly, Mrs. Miller, not so great. I don't know, I just can't sleep lately. It's really getting to me. I keep having these messed up dreams, or waking up. It's just like when I was a kid, But this time it's even worse. I keep feeling like something's pushing down on me, like it's right there. It's messing with my head, totally." I tried to make it sound casual, like a normal complaint, but the desperation was probably seeping through every single word. Even as I talked, I felt this strange prickling feeling in the back of my neck, like I wasn't as alone as I thought. My apartment suddenly felt bigger, colder. I glanced around my pristine, minimalist living room. Everything was in its place. Too much in its place, almost. The perfect order suddenly felt like a lie. And then it happened. Not on my bed, not when I was asleep. I was sitting at my desk, trying to force myself to focus on some new code. Mid-afternoon, bright sunlight streaming through the window. My fingers were flying over the keyboard, solving some gnarly bug, the kind that usually takes all your attention. And then, it was like an invisible hand just grabbed me. My whole body went stiff, frozen. I tried to move, to even twitch a finger, but nothing. Just locked. I could only stare straight ahead, my breath caught in my throat. Right there, across the room, in the hallway that led to my bedroom, a shadow moved. It wasn't a flicker this time. It wasn't a blur. It was a solid, dark shape. Tall, lean. It slid from one side of the hallway to the other, slow and deliberate, before disappearing into the kitchen doorway. All in broad daylight. My eyes were wide open. My mind, for all its glitches, was fully, horrifyingly awake. This wasn't sleep paralysis. This wasn't a dream. This was real. When the paralysis finally broke, I gasped, almost falling off my chair. My arms flew up, as if to ward off an invisible blow. My heart was going 1,000 miles an hour, trying to break out of my chest. My hands trembled, shaking so bad I had to grip the edge of my desk. I scrambled up, stumbled to the hallway, then the kitchen. Nothing. Empty. Just the gleaming steel of my appliances, the sunlit tiles. I ran my hands through my hair, my scalp tingling. My skin felt clammy all over again, despite the bright afternoon. But there was something else. On my bedside table. I remembered leaving it on the bookshelf, right next to my old coding manuals. A small, framed photo. Me, around 7 or 8 years old, goofy smile, holding a toy robot. It was now sitting neatly on my bedside table, right where my phone usually was. I stared at it. "How the hell did this get here?" I whispered, my voice barely a rasp. I picked it up, my fingers shaking. I distinctly remembered putting it away. Did I do this in my sleep? I tried to rationalize it, to force that old scientific shield back up, but the thought just felt wrong. It felt like someone else had placed it there, like a subtle, quiet message. My perfectly logical brain, my science shield, it was shattering, pieces flying everywhere. I was tired, beyond tired. My eyes felt gritty, my head a constant throbbing. Am I actually going insane? The question, cold and sharp, sliced through the last shred of my composure. All this time, I'd been so sure, so damn sure of my logic, my explanations. But a shadow in broad daylight? My photo moved? These weren't things you could explain away with brain misfires or bad sleep hygiene. No, this was something else, something pushing back. I stumbled over to my bed, collapsing onto the edge, my eyes fixed on the foot of the mattress, on that dark, empty space. My heart started to race again, not from exertion, but from a growing dread that settled deep in my gut. Whatever it wasn't just in my head anymore. It was here, and it knew I was losing it. I closed my eyes, but it didn't help. The image of that tall, dark shape, leaning, watching, was burned into my mind. I was a rational man, a man of science, but science had no answers for this, and I was completely, utterly alone. My perfectly ordered world wasn't glitching, it was breaking, and I didn't know how to fix it. This wasn't just a bug, this was a system crash, and the error message was pure terror. Man, I was a wreck. Not like, oh, I'm a bit tired wreck. More like, my brain's dissolving into static and my body's just a meat puppet hanging by frayed strings kind of wreck. That whole logic thing I used to have, that scientific shield I built around myself, gone, shredded. My perfectly optimized life algorithm, buggy, glitchy, a mess of code I couldn't even read anymore, let alone fix. My hands, they were still shaking. From the daylight paralysis thing, from finding that old photo on my bedside table, a photo I knew for a fact I'd put away ages ago. It felt like a sick little joke, like something was playing with me, not in my head, out there. And the absolute worst part, that terrifying, cold truth, my brain, my super smart, super logical brain, couldn't explain it away anymore. Every scientific article, every medical term I'd clung to, it all felt like a flimsy paper towel against a tidal wave of pure, gut-wrenching wrongness. It was all a lie. Everything I'd told myself for years. It was all just a damn coping mechanism. I was still on the phone with Mrs. Miller, my voice thin and hoarse. I'd just finished blabbing about the nightmares and the feeling of something pushing down on me, trying to sound casual, like any normal person complaining about bad sleep. But my chest felt tight, like my lungs were just shrinking. My apartment, with all its clean lines and minimalist design, felt huge and cold, way too cold, like someone had cranked the AC to sub-zero. But I knew it was just me, just my blood turning to ice. Mrs. Miller's voice crackled through the phone, the sound a weird mix of comfort and something else, something unsettlingly calm. She cleared her throat, a little rustle. "Oh, Alex dear," she started, her voice a soft, almost chirpy drone. "You know, hearing you talk about those bad dreams, it just brought back a memory, an old one. Do you remember that little bed you had when you were a tiny tot? The wooden one, with the slightly creaky frame?" My heart gave a weird lurch. The old bed? Yeah, I remembered it. Kind of. A vague, blurry memory of a small wooden frame. I used to hate that bed. Always felt heavy, creepy, even as a kid. "Yeah, Mrs. Miller, I think so," I mumbled, trying to focus on her words, not the sudden cold prickle on my arms. "Well, your mom, bless her heart, she ended up just getting rid of it, didn't she? You were always fussing about those bad dreams, weren't you? Waking up crying, saying someone was standing there? She said it just wasn't right for you. Didn't suit you, she said." My breath hitched. Someone was standing there? That phrase, it echoed like a sick, twisted whisper from the past. I tried to dismiss it. Kids say weird stuff, nightmares, total normal kid logic, right? My rational brain was screaming at me to find an out, to find a reason, but it was just static. Mrs. Miller continued, her voice still so perfectly, unsettlingly calm, like she was talking about the weather. "Funny thing about that bed, actually. Before your family bought it, you know, we lived on Elm Street for decades, so I remember everything. That bed, it actually belonged to old Mr. Peterson, you know, the man who lived down the street, right at the end, in that little blue house. Nice man, always kept his garden tidy. Used to give you candy sometimes, didn't he? Before he passed away." The air in my lungs just left. Who? Mr. Peterson? I remembered the name, vaguely. A ghost of a face, maybe. Someone old. "He passed away on that very bed, actually," she went on, completely oblivious to the terror building inside me. "Just in his sleep, poor man. Heart attack, they said. So sad. But the police, when they found him, they said he was lying there, eyes wide open, just staring, like he'd seen something truly terrible right before he went. They said it looked like pure horror, right there, in his own bed. Can you imagine? Anyway, old news now. But your mom, she heard the talk, you know how neighbors are, and she was worried. That's why she got rid of it and bought you a new one. Said it was for the best." Click. The phone slipped from my trembling fingers, bouncing off the pristine tile floor with a dull thud. It landed screen down, a dark, silent rectangle. My heart wasn't just thumping anymore, it was a damn drum solo, a wild, desperate beat against my ribs, trying to break free. My head was spinning. Mr. Peterson died on that bed, eyes wide open, horror, like he saw something. No, no way. This couldn't be real. That heavy pressure on my chest, the feeling of being pinned down, the tall, dark shadow at the foot of my bed. Not sleep paralysis, not my brain misfiring. It wasn't just in my head. What the hell is this? I hissed, my voice a broken whisper that barely scratched the silence of my apartment. My own scientific mantras, the explanations I'd repeated like a sacred text for years, they all exploded in my head. Nothing but white noise, a total system crash. If it wasn't sleep paralysis, then what was it? What was that thing that had been standing at the foot of my bed all those nights, all those years? Why did it follow me? Why was it here, now, in this apartment, after all this time? Mr. Peterson, his face flashed in my mind, not the hazy memory of a kind old man, but a terrifying, wide-eyed mask of pure dread, the one the police described, the one who saw it. And I had seen it too, hadn't I? Over and over again? A cold, awful truth settled deep in my gut, twisting everything inside me. It had never gone away. It had never been just a bad dream. It had always been there, waiting. I stood there frozen in the middle of my living room. My lungs felt like they couldn't expand, like someone had stuffed them with cotton. My hands clenched into fists, nails digging into my palms, trying to ground myself. Slowly, agonizingly, I turned my head. My eyes locked onto the foot of my bed. That dark, empty space. No security cameras, no fancy sleep tracking tech, just shadows. And in those shadows, I knew. I absolutely knew. It's not sleep paralysis, I choked out, the words catching in my throat. So, what is it? And why is it here, with me, right now? A wave of fear, a deep, bone-chilling cold, washed over me. It felt ancient, horrifying. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, then forced them open. That empty space. It wasn't empty anymore. Not to me. The fight I thought I'd won all those years ago, it was just starting. It had waited, and it was still waiting, right there, at the foot of my bed.